Hello. How are you going? Have you had a good solar supercharge? Great. Well, thank you all for staying till the end of Sunday. I hope you're looking forward to a great action tomorrow. I'm going to talk about community solar and community renewables more generally and how it's the new frontier, the next frontier. We've talked, pretty much everything in the last 2 days has been about how renewable energy is a people-powered revolution. It's people-powered at a technology level, it's people-powered at a change level. So I wanted to ask, Claire asked this on the first day, but I want to see a show of hands again. Who here has solar panels on your roof? I want to say thank you. Thank you very much, because you are making a real difference in the world. And no matter what regulators say, what politicians say, what coal lobbyists say, you are part of addressing the biggest moral imperative of our time, which is climate change. So thank you. So my question is, who here would like to put solar on their roof, but you can't because you rent? Okay, who's got a shaded roof? All right, what about, does anyone live in an apartment? Yeah. So there's a bunch of people who want to be solar citizens, but they can't be. Well, it's pretty bloody hard at the moment, as in they can be, but it's pretty hard. In terms of the physical technology, you can sign up to solar citizens any day of the week. Who here would have put solar on their roof, but would like to do more? Would like to do more in this solar-powered revolution? Okay. These are the reasons we need community power, the reasons we need community energy. Great, beautiful photo from the UK. We've got to get some nice ones like this up in Australia soon. So that's great, awesome. We need community energy. What is it? So my favourite definition is, one of the things to say about community energy on a technical level is it fits in the middle. We in Australia have lots, 1.5 million solar roofs now. We also have some really big solar farms being built and a bunch of really big wind farms. The thing is there's 5 orders of magnitude in scale between a 1 kilowatt solar array and a 100 megawatt wind farm. That's where community energy fits. It's really, big, gaping technical gap. That's where it is. So there's a technical imperative and opportunity there that's really exciting, but it's more than the technical. Like I said, it's about the people. So the 4 Ds of community energy. Community energy decarbonises, decentralises and democratises our energy system and demonstrates to people like you and I, to naysayers in our communities, that renewable powered energy works and a renewable powered future is possible. If you've got a wind turbine turning on your hill and generating electricity, you can't say, no, it can't work, it doesn't work, they break down. It's not, they're working. See it, look, it's turning. So there's another definition. That's nice, that's, really high level, great, catchy, we've got some alliteration going on, but what does that mean in practice? So community energy projects are about communities coming together to develop, deliver, and benefit from, ideally through owning, sustainable energy. And that could include supply-side projects like wind farms or solar arrays. It could also include demand-side projects like energy efficiency programs and things like that. And perhaps really excitingly, it could involve communities coming together to own retailing, an electricity retail company, as we've just seen happen in the Northern Rivers in Enova. In other parts of the world, it even means communities coming together to buy back their own grid, as Talgan was talking about yesterday. So there's a whole range of innovative ways we can do community energy. But the thing is, it's not new. It might be new in Australia. We've only been really doing it for the last 5 or 6 years. But in Germany, 46% of all renewable energy installed capacity is owned by individuals and communities. They have over 200,000 people that are investing in these projects, and they've generated and invested over 1.35 billion euros. This is not small fry. This is not something that's nice and over there and, oh, that little hippie town can, maybe do some nice things together as a community. This is serious economic development in communities for the benefit of communities. In the US, they've just predicted that the biggest boom in solar and the biggest growth potential in solar is not going to be in households, it's not going to be in large-scale commercial, it's going to be in shared and community solar. They're predicting that they'll get to 100 megawatts of shared and community solar in the next 3 years. And then what about Scotland? Scotland is the mecca of community energy. They have over 500 community energy projects. Imagine if we had this many across Australia. Yeah, exactly. Some are off-grid. So one of my favourite projects that I visited back in 2010, a little project called the Isle of Egg. Small island, was off the grid. They were going bust because of diesel costs. They're now the first community-owned microgrid that is powered by 3 sources of renewables, solar, wind and hydro. So, really amazing. Here's what it looks like in Australia. We now have about 25 operating community projects. This is up from 0 when I started doing this in about 2009, 2010, when Jack was leading the way on one of Australia's first community wind farms, Hepburn Wind. And there are about 75, maybe close to 80 groups across Australia who are proactively developing these projects. There's a few people in the room who are involved in them, so hats off. But we've got a long way to go if we're going to catch up with Germany and Scotland and the US. So I want to talk a little bit about the different types of community energy projects and some inspiring examples and what you can do about it. So the first type of community energy project, and this is really happening a lot at the moment, is a donation-based project. You could donate to put solar on the roof of a great not-for-profit building. It could be like this next project, Kareena, organisation based out of Adelaide, amazing. They've been putting solar on the roof through donation funding that goes back into a revolving loan structure. So basically, every dollar you put in, you donate, then goes to put solar on roofs about 5 or 6 times over in the next 15 years. That's pretty good. They've put it on the roof of a disability riding school in Canberra and about 8 other community buildings across and community organisations across the country. So one thing you could do is you could donate to them. You could do it here, but while you're at it, why don't you donate to Solar Citizens? Because, we don't just need panels on roofs, we need the policies that support getting those panels on roofs, and Solar Citizens there's none better at getting that policy change. So that's the first type. The second type, community investor models of renewable energy, where the community comes together to invest and own a renewable energy asset. I'm going to talk about one project. It's not up and operating yet. There's a bunch, there's about 10 or 12 that are up and operating, but I wanted to talk to you about SolarShare. SolarShare is a group in Canberra. They are in the process of trying to build a 1 megawatt community solar farm just near the edge, just outside the ACT. And if you're in the barriers session yesterday, you'll know it's pretty difficult to do medium-scale renewables that connect into the grid and sell to the grid. And so one of the things that's making it easier for them is that the ACT government, as part of their 90% renewable energy target, has said, we're going to do a set of reverse auctions. We're going to contract for a bunch of renewables, and they've done 2 wind rounds, they've done a solar round, and what they've done here is a community solar round. They've said, we want to see 1 megawatt of community solar minimum, and we're going to pay for the electricity for that. The reason I'm talking about SolarShare, not only because they're a great group and it's a great project, and it'll be the first greenfield site community solar project in Australia, but because you here in Queensland have a government who is committed to doing at least 50 megawatts of reverse auctions for renewable energy. You could ask your energy minister, this guy here, Mark Bailey, to commit that perhaps at least 5 megawatts of that reverse auction go for community solar projects on greenfield sites like SolarShare. I'm happy to put you in touch with the folks at SolarShare so you can learn from what they're doing. So those are the first 2. I don't have a slide for the next one. This one's community developer partnerships. So the idea of going, why don't we make every single renewable energy project across the country a community energy project? Sounds hard? It's not hard if you just say that every renewable energy project should have at least 5 or 10% local community ownership. That's what they do in Denmark. It's legislated. Every onshore wind farm, they have to open up up to 20% of the project to local ownership. Why can't we do the same here? There's a couple of utilities, renewable energy developers suggesting it. It's not really happening. It's going to need people like you and I to make it happen, to force, large multinational companies to actually, do some good community engagement and, get communities involved and helping them to own it. But if we did that, we'd really cut out those social license issues and those crazy anti-windies, because people are directly benefiting from the wind that's turning on the hill and the solar panels that are in that farmer's field. So not only does the farmer benefit, but the whole of the community benefits. Oh, and also this was something that was this idea was floated by the Queensland Competition Productivity Commission in a report last year. So, it's on the radar, but it's not in practice yet. Final model. So, communities coming together to make it easier for households to do this. If we think back to the heady days of 2008, it was the beginning of the solar boom. There were $8,000 rebates available. Things were just changing up in terms of the renewable energy target. There were hundreds of community bulk buys of solar projects across the country. They were delivered and developed by community groups. That's the unsung hero of how we happen to have a solar boom in Australia, is the community groups that enabled those bulk buys. But the thing is, we're getting more sophisticated than that. I talked about renters. I talked about low-income households at the beginning, or if I didn't, I should have. I want to tell you quickly a little story about Darebin Solar Savers. So there's a great organisation in Melbourne called the Moreland Energy Foundation. If you don't know them, look them up. They, in partnership with Darebin City Council, Inner North Melbourne Council, developed a program to put solar panels on the roofs of 300 low-income pensioners in the Darebin Council area. What they've done is, Darebin had some cash sitting around, not many councils do, but they were pretty lucky, and they said, we want to support the community to be able to go solar. Great council, we should celebrate them. But what they did is that they've paid for the solar up front. They've with Moreland Energy Foundation and contracted an installer, they've put solar on the roof of these 300 households. They did it $0 up front, and then you pay back the cost of the solar through your council rates. And because the contract sits with the property, the risk of default compared to getting a loan from your bank and things like that is much lower. So it's a win-win for all round. So this is the kind of thing that all councils all across Australia could be doing, and they can get bank loans and things like that to make it easier. You've got a local government election coming up in Queensland. This is something you could advocate for. 2 minutes, 1 minute. Okay, Pingala, amazing community energy group in Sydney. They're partnering with 3 Aboriginal communities in Western New South Wales to put solar in their roof, putting into practice some of the things we were hearing about in the Just Transition workshop earlier today. Look them up, they're amazing, and this is what we need to be doing. We need to be seeing urban partnerships with supporting Aboriginal communities, working with them, not for them. If you want to do a community energy project, there's a great guide here. Talk to Luke at Energy Communities if you want to get involved in Queensland. Talk to me if you want to get connected up with people around the country. Thank you.